Hi guys, good morning. Today I'm going to be showing you how to build a full stack application using the MERN stack. We're going to be using MongoDB for the database, Express for the server, React for the front end, and Node for our server. So without wasting much time, let's jump into it. So I'm going to be using git bash for my command line. To get git bash, just go to git bash download, just search that on Google. So I'm going to be using this is git bash. This we're going to be using that, and then Visual Studio Code for text editor. Again, you'll see that when we open it, and then MongoDB. I'm not using the online. I think it's MongoDB Atlas, which is the online database. I've just downloaded it onto my on my local machine, MongoDB download. And then the last thing is for my client request, I'll be using Postman, and Postman will help us to query the database and to act as a client side to get to get request and post request. And then we'll build a very simple React application to do exactly what Postman will be doing, but to just kind of illustrate how you're linking the backend to the front end. So with that said, I'll just open a new tab. This is where I'll just be accessing the server. Let's jump into it. First thing is, let me just close that. The first thing is we need to go to the desktop. Let me just go to my desktop. Yes. So CD means change directly. So we want to make a directory and we'll call it tutorial 101. Yes. And then we'll go into tutorial 101, and then here would like to initialize. We've got Node.js installed against Google Node.js, and you should be able to install it. That way you have access to npm. So any npm initialize and yes to all the questions that it's going to ask us. Yeah, awesome. So for this project, we're going to be using a couple of dependencies. So we'll install those. We have Express, and then we'll have course, so that we were able, because we're accessing this from the same IP address, we don't want it to conflict when we send a request. So that resolves that. So we need Express, we need course, we need Mongoose for the database, and we need body parser to convert what's coming from the front end, the requests which are coming from the front end, to something which the database can read. And we'll need node_mon for the server, and we'll need .env as well, so that we'll be able to hide things such as our paths to the database, and also the port number, things like that. Anything that we think we might not want to expose, we'll install that, or at least, I mean, we'll use the .env to hide that. So I've just pressed enter. While that's installing, I'll just open another terminal, and I will leave the React application being created. It takes a little bit of time. I guess maybe it's my computer. Yeah. So again, I'll navigate to the same folder, CD desktop, and tutorial 1, and then I will create React app. For me to be able to do this, by the way, I first had to do npm install create React app and global, so that way it's on my machine. That allows me to be able to just create a boilerplate for a React application using the shortcut create React app. So create React app, we'll call it front end. So that's going to start creating a boilerplate for our React front end application, which we'll use to to query the database through the server. So let me just open the Visual Studio Code. You can see our dependencies have stopped installing, or at least they have finished rather. So if I say code dot, this should open Visual Studio Code. So awesome. First thing is I go to my package.json. I would like to add a script for my start to start the servers. Start. So if I run npm start, I'd like it to just use nodemon and index.js. Index.js. This is our entry point into, so yeah. So in this case, we now have to create index.js. So we start off by creating our server. So our const express is equal to require, and we'll require bring in express, and then we'll have cause require cause, then we'll have body parser. I'm just basically bringing all the packages that we installed so that we can actually use them in the project. For .env, we don't need to .env, we bring it in .env /config, exactly. And which other package did we install? Mongoose, we need mongoose. I think everything else we have mongoose. So again, we'll require mongoose, and so this is by requiring the packages, we are able to use them in our project. So I know we need to just create a separate file where we'll keep the port. So we'll call it .env, and here we'll have the port and will equal to 5000. Cool. And then also we have the database URL, and this is where we'll paste the database URL. So while we're there, we might as well just start the database. So to start the database, just open, remember I showed you how to download MongoDB. So now when it's on your local machine, and then open a new terminal. If you're using Windows, after you download the MongoDB, you might find that it's not, you can't use it from the terminal, like what I want to do to start the MongoDB server, because the server for the database is started separately. So what you might need to do is go to your, if you can't run it from the terminal, just search for env. It will open the system environment variables, because what you want to do is to add the path to the bin of MongoDB to your system paths. So let me just show you what I mean just now, so that it's not confusing. Bear with me, my computer can be slow sometimes, so let me just wait for it. I so need an upgrade. So yes, the system variables have come up. If you go to environment variables, then there's this variable called path, and then if you edit it, you just create a new one. If you create new, you'll be able to just you'll be able to find the bin folder in the C folder, usually, at least on my computer. You can also just double check on your computer, but it will be in the program files, MongoDB. There's a folder called server and 4.4 and a folder called bin. So wherever this is, copy this path and then yeah, add it here, because that way you'll be able to use MongoDB in the terminal. So to start the server is MongoD, then it will start the server. Then I'll just open another terminal so that I can query the database. So this terminal which I opened, this is the one where we just say MongoD. Its purpose is purely just to run the server. Yes. So now if we type Mongo, in the new terminal. You can see it's doing whatever it's doing here. But here, when we type Mongo in the new terminal, maybe let me make that full screen. Oh, maybe it hadn't started yet. Mongo. Now if I start it again, connection failed. Oh, the connection failed. Mongo D. Let me just restart the server. Sorry. MongoDB. Yeah. Has it finished? I think it's finished. So Mongo. Awesome. So now we're connected to the database. I think that time I tried to get to the database before the server was fully up. So yeah. So now if we just say show DBs, we'll be able to see which databases are inside. So for us, we want to use, we'll call it tutorial. Since this is an employee record keeping application, so maybe we'll call it employees. That's the name of the database. So use employees, yes. So we don't have any collections yet, and if we say show DBs, the databases, it won't show up yet because it doesn't have a collection. But once it has collections, it will start to show up. And to connect from our backend, this is the URL that we'll need. So I then copy this. Don't press Control C because if you press Control C, you stop this terminal. So I just minimize that, and then I go back to environment variables, and then I just paste it. So at the end, it's MongoDB colon / 127 blah blah blah. That's the server it's running. So I've got to write employees. That's the name of the database that we gave it. Should be employees. I think it was employees. Was it employees? Yes, it was employees. Awesome. So that way, when we go here, we can actually also import the two, the path. We know, or is it the port rather? The port, we know that we get it in process.env.port, and then we'll get the path as well for the database. We call it database URL. I'm not sure what we called it, so we just copy the name that we used. You have to make sure you don't make a mistake on that. And then again, process.env.database URL. Yes. Now we've got access to both. To start our server, we've got to create an app, and we say express. So we've instantiated our app, and we want it to listen on port, on the port, and we just do a callback if there is an error. If there is an error, if there is an error, would like it to console.error, the error. Else, would like it to console.log the app, and maybe we use backticks. The app is running on port, and we will on port. Yes, awesome. So now if we just start our server, we should get this message, because I think, yeah, we should be able to see. Visual Studio Code is a got an inbuilt terminal, which is really cool. So if you just press terminal, new terminal, as you can see, we use the terminal a lot. So yeah, and it opens in the current folder. So If we say node npm start, remember we put our start script here, start node mon index.js. So it should show us the app is running on port 5000. Yippee! That means that we've done a good job. The backend server is now running. The next thing we need to do as well is just to connect the database. So we use mongoose.connect, and we first need to pass it the database URL, and then use new URL parser is true. This is one of those things that I'm adding, which I have no idea what it does, but it works. So I don't know. See, programming has got a ton of stuff. Some of the things you might not understand, but as long as you understand 95% of what's going on, you always end up making a really good decision. And then you can always spend time understanding the new stuff that you don't understand. So connect database, and then after that we have a callback. Uh, Again, if there is an error, um, we'll say, maybe we'll say the error console. If there is an error, maybe we'll just do, if there is an error, we'll say again, we've done this before. We just copy that information. Of course, our message is going to be different, but yeah, we want to console the error. Else, we want to console the, say, the database. Say database is connected. And put, yeah, exclamation mark to show how happy we are. It's connected. Yes. So now, if we restart, moment of truth. Let's just, yeah. Some of you might be surprised why am I, oh yes, okay, awesome. Some of you might be surprised why I restarted the server here, because I have no idea why my node mon doesn't automatically restart the server by itself, or at least it takes a lot of time. So sometimes I just find it easy just to intervene and manually restart it. So anyway, now our app is running on port 5000 and we're connected to the database successfully. Awesome. So now we just need to set up some middleware, so that maybe we'll call this app connection. Comment that out. Comment that out. Yes. And then we'll call this database connection. And again, we comment that out. Yes. Now we need some middleware, so that when the routes are hit, would like certain things to happen. So first of all, app.use would like to use pause, and then would also want to use the body parser.json. Yes, and then would like it to use the routes that we're going to create. So whenever someone hits a route called employees, would like it to hit the the routers folder that we're going to create. Let's just create it just now. But anyway, let me put what we'll call it. We'll say employee router. Yes. So the employee router, we need it here. Const employee router is equal to require, because we're going to set it up separately, and we have a folder called router, and in that we'll have employee router.js. Yes. So if we go here, so this is the employee router, that's where we're going to use it. So if we then create router, a folder called router, and then inside we'll create a file called employee router.js. Yes. So in this router, the first thing we'll need is express and require express. And then we'll have to set up the employee router, and we will express dot router. And yes, so now and we need to export that module dot export so that it can be used in the other file. So module dot exports employee router. I do that first because I don't really want to forget that. Another thing is we'll require is a schema, employee schema. We'll set this up just now. This gives us a structure of interacting with the database. Yeah. So this is where Mongoose is very important. So we'll call it employee schema. And yeah, that should be fine. Let me just set up the schema quickly. Again, oh yeah, I think it will be we have to go 2 folders back, and then we'll have the model in the employee schema. So here I have to create a folder called model, and then in that model, I'm gonna create employee schema.js. So here we will use Mongoose, and we'll require Mongoose, and then we need the schema, employee schema, and that this is schema, and we'll put in an object. So we'll have a first name for the employees, and again this is going to have a string, and it will be needed. So say require true, and then we'll have the last name, and again it's the same info, and the last thing is the age. For the age, the only thing that changes is we need a number exactly. So at the end of this, we need to be able to export module.exports. We want to export the mongoose.model. Yes, and we'll call this employee. The model for the employee is the employee schema. Beautiful. Yes. So now we should be sorted. And maybe let's just set the routes now. The routes that we need. So the routes that we need is anytime the visitor, the client rather, posts a get request, to this, we don't need to specify employees because we've already specified here that where is it? Yeah, that anytime we use employees, we use the employee router. So that way we don't really need to. We don't need to open a new. We don't need to open. We don't need to specify here employees. So we'll get a request and a response. Yes. So what do we do when it's a get request? We would like yeah, to check if, or rather we use the employee schema dot find, and then what do we want to find? We would like to find the oh, sorry, we'll find everything. The first thing, and then we have a callback. So in the callback, we have a response. Well, actually, we might get an error back or a response. So yeah. In the event where we get an error, then would like to Well, what can we do? Maybe we set the status to 500, which is likely to be a network error. Um, and then we'll send a JSON to the user with the message. Maybe we call it message body, and we say there was an error retrieving the database. And the next thing is we might need to set the message error to true. This helps us because sometimes we might have conditions on the front end which depend on the response. So we say, hey, when you get a response from the server which says that the message is an error, then set the message error to true. Yeah. And then in the case where there is no error, would like to set the status to 200 and then send JSON back to the user with the response. Yes. And yeah, I'll just send it back as an object. Yes, yes, yes. So this should fit our get request. So if we go there and we say localhost, let me just check. I think I might need to restart the server. Yeah. So server is starting. Yes, server is started. So I'm a localhost 5000. So when we go to employees, yes, we're getting a response with an empty array. Yes, this we now, guys, we now have a REST API. This is the URL to the API. The only thing now we need to do is just to post the data. So to put some dummy data, I'll use Postman. So again, in reality, there could be a portal. So let's say this is an HR system. So there could be a portal where the HR manager actually adds new employees. So the client in this case, which is requesting, which has the get request, is the maybe it's the boss. They want to see how many people are in the company or something like that. So I'm going to use Postman to mimic what it would be like to post data into that database. Alternatively, we could create a React application which has a form and do exactly the same thing. But it's faster in our example to just use Postman to illustrate what we need to do. We create a simple React application at the end just to illustrate. Um, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So again, we go to it's a post request localhost on 5000 and employees is the route. Employees is the route. No, this is not a post request, it's a get request. Is it a get request? No, I'd like to add the database. Sorry guys. I don't know why I'm confused. Headers, content type, application JSON, that should be fine. And then body. So here I've just put my details, but I mean to just literally start from scratch. So first name is Caleb, then the last name is Bosham, and then the age is 32. So now it's a number. If we send this moment of truth, there was an error. I wonder why I cannot post to employees. Oh, silly me. It's because I haven't set a post router. Sorry, guys. A route for post. I haven't done that. That's silly me. Silly me. Sorry about that. So let me just remove everything. So to post, we know we already have a schema which gives us a guideline. So we say let's new anytime there's a new employee would like to use the schema, employee schema, and would like it to for the first name just use the request dot from the body dot first name, and then the last name would like it to use the request from the body dot last name. Yes. And then the age would like it to use request.body.age. Yes. So this should allow us to create a new employee from the request, and then we need to be able to save this employee. So new employee.save, exactly. And then after the employee is saved, we've got we have the data which we'll send to the client, and we'll say, maybe I won't even make this, it's complicated. And we say res.json, I send back the data. And then in the case where there's an error, we'd like to catch it. Error, and we just say, maybe we'll send uh, a message, a JSON, res.json, and with a message with the error. Yes. So this should be fine. Now we should be able to add, if we go back to Postman and then we try it again. Oh, I need to restart the server. Oh. Restart the server. Yes. Now if we do that again. Yes. Yes. You can see as created is sent back. If you recall from what we know that when it works, we wanted to send it back whatever it posted. When it doesn't work, we wanted to send it the error. And I guess let me just add two other people. My other name is Nyasha. And my granddad's name was Muzono. So I guess it's the same person, and I'll send again. And we've got two people in the database now. And maybe let me show you what it would look like if there was an error. So let me just call it department. We know that the schema doesn't have anything like this, so it should return, let's just say sales. If I send, it should refuse to post this. And it just posted the things that we take. But in the event where there are things that we don't take, it omitted this. Yeah. Oh, cool. I like how it works. Awesome. So now, if we just do a get request to employees and we send, we'll get back a response with all our people inside, which is adjacent. So if I go back to the browser and then just hit that route, the get request, you can see we've got an API, guys. We have an API running. Awesome. So and you can see already how from when you can send requests from the front end, you kind of get all the data which is in the API, which is awesome. So I promised you guys that I would also show you very quickly what the same would look like from the front end application. So we created a React application there. Where is it? Create React application, and it finished happy hacking and blah blah blah. So let me just go to the front end folder and npm start. Usually React will run on port 3000. So we're running our server on port 5000 and it's on port 3000. So what we need now is just go to the app. Where's the front end? Yes, I'm in the front end. And if we go to our something is a little bit strange. Something is strange. Something is strange. I have no idea why I can't see the app in the front end. Oh, source folders. Oh, my bad. So React, we won't need a lot of this stuff. I'll just remove all the stuff that we don't need. So like that, all that we don't need that. And we won't need we'll use oh, the React application is starting. So here we won't need all this, and we just say import React. Let me just see, what does it look like? If I go to index, not index, yeah, this import React from React, import React from React, and also we need the component. Yes. So I don't want to use function. I'd like to use a class. So we say class app, then extends component. Yes, and then we have render, and yep. And what would be the problem? Return that. What is the challenge? What's the challenge? Class app extends component. I wonder, it's giving me an error. I wonder what I've done wrong. Extends component. Let me just say C export table. Yes, I think maybe I think I know what I did wrong. Let me just remove everything here at the bottom because yeah, it's done. So I just used a shortcut. I don't need that. Class. What was I doing wrong? Oh yes, silly me. I was the way I was calling render was off. Yeah. Class app extends component. Yes, render. So to just test this whether it's working, we just create a heading, and we'll call it testing 101. We go back to React application. Where is the React application there? Wait, what's going on? Testing 101, exactly. Awesome. So now what we need is we would like to create state. So say constructor, and taking the props, and constructor super. I think there's a shortcut actually. React is very fancy. If you rc const, exactly. Yes. So to add these snippets, just go to your extensions and then just look for React. Yeah, where is it? React, simple React snippets. This thing is amazing to change your life because yeah, you don't need to remember a lot of this stuff. Yeah. So class, it's a constructor super pro. This allows us to use this keyword. So the things that we will need to store is, first of all, we'll need the names of the employees, and we'll need to check whether it's loaded. So it starts off at false. Exactly. So after that, we've got to check the component. When it does mount, would like to fetch. What do we want to fetch? We want first of all the URL. What's the URL that we're using? That's the URL API. So we put it there. So when the fetch method is done, we say then we would like to get the data which comes from the fetch and change it to JSON so that we can use it. JSON. And then we would like to get the JSON which now comes in, and this dot, we change the state, set state. We'll have the items will now be equal to the JSON, and the is loaded, that will now be true. Awesome. So this should be awesome. And then when we render now, it means that we just say, we're simplifying life a lot. Yeah. So we say if this dot state is, wait a minute. Oh, no. I need to destructure it first. Yes. For me to be able to use them. So we say destructure, just to have this, we'll have items, and we'll have is loaded. And we are destructuring it from the state. This dot state, yes. We just say let. Yeah. And then we'll just say now if we go to say if the is loaded is, if is loaded is false. So if we gotta put some brackets to make it read the JavaScript. So if is loaded is false, what do we want it to do? We would like to render h2, which says loading. Yeah, am I doing anything wrong? Yeah. Okay, I think I know what I'm doing wrong. So if is loaded is false, would like it to return this. Yes. Else, we don't need that. We don't need, yeah. And then else, then we want to take the, we want to return an ordered list, and we just say maybe we take the data items dot map, we'll map each one of them, and we'll say for each item, or well, actually, I think it's in the response. Yeah. If we look here, the first object is the response. Only in the response object do we have the array. So items.response.map for each item would like to return a list. So a list with each item. What's in each item? Item first name. Item the first name. And then maybe we'll have separately, we'll separate using a pipe. Then we'll have the item and we'll grab the last name. And then again we'll put a pipe, then we'll grab the age, item.age. Yes. So moment of truth. If we go back to our React application, nothing to render. What could be the problem? This means a return statement is missing. Oh, yes. I know what it did. We need to else. We need to return. Yes. Yes. Awesome. So we can see Caleb Bosham. If we, yeah, this is what we have in our application, and this is what we're rendering in our React application. So we know that to put a GET request is working, and we are actually having a GET request from our React application. Never mind, our React application is very simple, but I think you get the point. Awesome. Thanks guys for bearing with me. It's my first tutorial, so not so straightforward, but I think hopefully I showed you how to get it done.